Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is a tutorial for the relative bearing for the AON testing, also known as the CUT-E assessment. It's often administered by airlines if you're going for a pilot interview. These were the areas that I was tested on for my particular pilot assessment at a major carrier. And we're going to talk specifically about the relative bearing. This site is free to sign up. I'll leave the link in the description box below. I know doing the relative bearing could be very tricky, especially when it is a timed exercise. As you can see, it tells you here you must perform 20 questions in 4 minutes. This may not be the case for your actual assessment, but it does give you practice in working these problems in a timed fashion. You'll see the bar to the right counting down for this particular practice test. Your test may differ, but just giving you an idea. Now, looking at this particular sample question that's on the website, there are two things that I do when I tackle this type of problem. The first thing, I'm going to pick one of the planes on the right, and then second of all, once I pick the plane, I want to know where am I looking outside of my plane based on the plane's orientation to see the station. Now, because I'm a very visual person, imagine the RBI as just the compass rose being painted on the ground. I really don't care about the directions and the numbers. I just want to make sure my nose of the plane that we're both sitting on in the ground is pointing north. And based on where the yellow arrow is pointing, that is telling us where the station is, where we should be looking, based on the orientation of our plane that was given to us by our heading. The good thing with this test, you can tick the box at the bottom that says display corrections, so you can have an idea whether or not you're doing it correctly, okay? All right, so let's start with this very first problem. The gyro is showing us a heading of 180. So let's go ahead and select which plane on the right represents heading 180. If you're visual, you can use that RBI that's always headed centered with north up to decide what orientation. So let's find the plane. If we were to superimpose a plane on there with the needle nose of the plane pointing to 180, we'll see it's plane number 2. Step 2 is to figure out where is the station in relation to my aircraft. Again, this is just how I do it to get the answers. The only purpose for me to use my RBI is determining where am I looking. Am I looking on the left side of my aircraft for the station? Am I looking on the right side of my aircraft from the station? Am I looking to the right or straight ahead? Am I looking off my wing? Am I looking behind me? Am I looking on the left side off to the left? Off my wing behind me. That is the only way I use the RBI. I really don't care about the numbers. I just want to know where I'm looking. So it's showing me I am looking on, if I superimpose the plane there with the nose always pointing north, I'm looking directly off of my left wing, right? Left side of my aircraft, straight off of the wing. So look at aircraft number 2. Shade the left side of your wing, straight off of your wing, with the line pointing out like the yellow arrow. This is telling you where you're looking for the station if you were in the aircraft flying a heading of 180. If we put it on box number 3, and that's our left wing, straight off the wing, it can't be there because it's not pointing to the station, right? Okay. Now, pardon me if it's very elementary. I pretend I'm teaching this to my son. So, what if we put it in box number 5? All right. Part of my wonky drawing of the aircraft. It's off my left wing. That's not going to do. So the box that I need to put it in, so I am seeing the station directly off my left wing, if I'm flying ahead in the south, is box number 7. And that should be the correct answer. And survey says, Okay, so on to the next problem. Step 1, pick which plane on the right you're going to use. What is the orientation? It's telling us north, okay? And I usually only use the RBI just to determine the plane orientation for visual purposes, but cardinal headings are usually very easy, right? So that's the one that's pointing north. Now, we're sitting in the aircraft with our nose pointing north, always going to point our nose north just to determine where we're looking. It's showing us what side of the aircraft we're looking to see that station. We're going to look on the right side of our aircraft, okay? And it's straight off to our right in front of us. So let's go ahead and draw an imaginary line, pretend that plane on number 2 is not there, and let's draw the station straight off to our right. Now, seeing that the station is there, what box will we have to be in on the left side to have our station situated that distance from our aircraft? And box number 6. It's off to our left, off the right wing in front of us to the right. Make sense? And survey says the correct answer is... Now you understand why the only reason I'm using that RBI to decide the orientation of my plane. So step 1, which one of these planes am I going to pick to the right? It looks like we're heading of 050. So I will point the needle of the nose 050. I'm going to say, what does this look like? That means my plane should be tilted towards the right with the needle going through 050. That's the only time I use the RBI, really. Great. Which one of these planes is oriented that way? Now, the true use of the RBI is to determine where am I looking to see the station based on the relation, that yellow arrow, where that arrow is pointing and the position of my plane. So if we're sitting on the ground, nose always facing north of the aircraft, I should be looking off my right wing. That is what the yellow arrow is telling me. Now, look at the orientation of the plane that you have selected in 2. We need to be looking for the station directly off our right wing. Go ahead, right side of the aircraft, make a line straight from off the wing. That is where you should see the station. What box should we be dropping that in so that the arrow is pointing directly to the station? And there you have it. Box number 8. I'm looking directly off my wing, and there goes the station. And survey says the correct answer for this one is... Okay, here's another one where we're not looking at the cardinal heading. Step 1, pick the plane on the right. Is it plane 1, 2, 3, or 4? And just to have an idea which plane we should be picking, because I'm very visual, I said, okay, let me mark where this plane should be tilted. Just using the compass, cheating using the RBI compass, lets me know my plane should kind of look like it's tilted on its side with the nose pointed that way. And we can deduct those are not the ones. Number 2 is the one yet again. Seems like 2 is always the answer. Now that we did step 1, step 2 is if we're sitting in the plane with our nose pointing north, where are we looking outside of the plane? Am I looking on the left side of the plane or the right side of the plane? Okay, arrow's pointing left. So I'm looking on the left side of the plane. Now, I'm not directly off my left wing. I'm just a little in front of the left wing. So now we have to draw an arrow pointing to the station that's a little bit in front of the left wing, not directly across from the left wing. And let's see, what box can we be in that this is a tricky one, okay? This is a tricky one. If we were directly off the right wing, we would be pointing to 3, we'd be pointing to 3, but we're not. So box number 1 is the correct answer. Well, I hope you really enjoyed this video. This is just my shortcut way of showing you how I do it. Maybe you have a better method that works, but this is the method that worked for me. And feel free to leave comments below and subscribe. Thanks for watching, friends, and good luck on your test. You've got this.